Screech by TarynMcT. Read by Oakshadow 5. Chapter 3. Izuku managed to get back into his room with an hour to spare before he had to leave for school. Quickly shedding his gear, Izuku pulled on his night clothes for the short walk to the bathroom. He could hear his mother in the kitchen and didn't want to risk her seeing him in either his vigilante gear or without a shirt. He took a short shower, ensuring that all traces of the tears he had cried were truly gone and that his curls were no longer flattened by his beanie. Head hair was terrible, and then went back to his room to put on his uniform. He wondered, how long would it be before the police showed up? Izuku opened his door and listened for his mother. He hadn't heard anything from her since the shower, but that could either mean she was waiting for him or that she already left for work. He turned all his focus on his hearing and was only able to pick up on the heartbeats of the neighbors, so he released his focus and relaxed. His mother was already gone. He went to the kitchen and made himself a quick breakfast and packed a sandwich for lunch, hoping he'd be able to eat it this time, and then got his shoes on and left for school. Walking down the street, Izuku noticed a man leaning against a car with a tan trench coat and a tan hat. Great. Detective Tsukauchi. He noticed the second the detective recognized Izuku, letting him know that Eraserhead had indeed reported his name. Heaving a sigh of resignation, Izuku continued his walk to school. Either the detective was going to walk with him or stop him, but Izuku wasn't going to acknowledge him first. Midoriya? The detective said as Izuku was passing him. Can I have a few words? I'm on my way to school, he replied quietly. Can we walk and talk? Of course, the detective agreed. I just wanted to say a few things, in any case. Just so you know, neither Eraserhead nor myself want to arrest you. We want to see you make it into a hero school, like UA, and become a licensed hero. On that front, since we have now had this conversation, I expect you to stop all vigilante activities. That is going to be the driving force of if you will be able to get your case. Why is that? Izuku asked. I thought after having vigilantism on my record, I'd be permanently barred from ever getting my license. We are going with a plausible excuse that no one ever told you that was illegal, and that you were too young to have your license. But now you have been told, and you won't be able to claim otherwise. Izuku nodded that he understood. Second, we would like for you to turn yourself in, sooner rather than later, so we can start an official investigation into your mother for child abuse. You would then be placed with a temporary foster family, and Eraserhead has already volunteered for your placement. Wide-eyed, Izuku could only gape at the detective for a moment before his brain restarted and was capable of speech again. What about his husband and son? Will they be okay with him taking in another kid? How? Detective Tsukauchi stammered. How did you know about them? Eraserhead is my favorite hero, Izuku shrugged. I like to follow him, watch him work. Sometimes he gets calls from them. Looking at the detective quickly, he continued. I'm an owl detective. I can hear a whisper from 20 meters, and President Mike does not know how to whisper. Laughing, he said, No, he does not. I'll have to let Eraser know, but as for them, I'm sure they won't mind. Mike had used his emergency foster license a few times without consulting Eraser before, and their son was originally an emergency foster himself. He won't be upset that you're receiving help. Izuku nodded. When do I need to turn myself in? Preferably as soon as possible. I'm willing to take you in now, but if you would rather be it later, I can give you my number so you can come in on your own time. He handed Izuku his card. Just remember, no vigilante work. Izuku paused before asking, will this mean I can't fly anymore, if I turn myself in? It would mean no more unsupervised flights, yes. However, Hawks is also offered to take on a Big Brother role, so I'm sure you could get him to supervise some flights. And when you get into UA, you will of course be able to fly in training. You're assuming I'll be able to make it in while fighting Quirkless? Izuku pointed out. I'm sure Eraser told you I'm registered as Quirkless. Yes, he did, and I verified it when looking you up. He confirmed. However, if you are fostered early enough, you can have your registration corrected and your UA application updated. With your mother out of the picture and re-registration corrected, there would be no need for you to pretend to be Quirkless. Izuku let out a quiet, yet excited chirp, before looking around nervously for anyone who may have heard him. Seeing no one, he relaxed and said, That would be nice. It's really hard sometimes to keep all of my traits suppressed, as you just heard. Izuku laughed sadly. Chirps, hoots, and hisses come so naturally. They walked in silence for a few more minutes before Izuku stopped abruptly. Ahead of them, at the school gates, Izuku could see Bakugo standing there, glaring at Izuku, ready for the day's first beating. Even from this far away, Izuku could hear the hate-filled growl of Deku. Okay, he whispered. With a confused eyebrow raised, the detective asked. Okay. Yeah, Izuku answered, still quiet. I'm not really interested in seeing any of the bullies today, and from what you're saying, I can probably skip school if I go with you. Well, yes, it would be difficult to attend classes if you're at the police station. The detective looked back at the school gates and saw a few students, but was too far away to make out any details. Our vision must be really good to be able to make out who everyone was. He couldn't even make out any features besides hair color. Izuku turned around and started walking back the way they had come, assuming the detective had been leaning against his own car. Name: Midoriya Izuku. Quirk: Screech Owl. Type: Avian Transformative with Emitter Aspects. Attributes: Retractable wings and talons, enhanced hearing, enhanced nocturnal vision, enhanced voice. Izuku looked at his new ID card with his updated Quirk registration and grinned. He was finally registered. He didn't need to hide anymore. With luck, maybe the bullies would leave him alone. Well, Bakugo probably wouldn't, but the teachers might not turn a blind eye as much now. Maybe? Detective, I have a question for you. At the answering nod, Izuku continued. If a bully tries to attack me with a quirk, am I allowed to defend myself? You get attacked with quirks at school? He asked alarmed. Well, yeah, no one cares about the quirkless kid, so teachers have always let the quirk kids do whatever they wanted to me. Now that I'm registered, though, they might stop most of the bullies, but I'm sure one or two will still keep going. Izuku paused to glance up at the detective. I just want to know if I can defend myself, or if it will count against me if I turn a Screech on them. You do realize that his Screech is really powerful, right? He confirmed. At the assenting chirp, he continued. Maybe try flying away. One of them can fly, though, Izuku countered, thinking of how Bakugo was able to use his explosions that way. He'd only seen it in person once, but he was sure that had been something that the boy had been practicing. I promise it wouldn't be a full-powered Screech. Maybe we should see about transferring you to another school. Why bother? There's only 2 months before graduation, and then I'll be in high school, Izuku countered. With a sigh of defeat, Detective Tsukachi relented. If a bully is about to use their quirk on you, you can defend yourself. I know what the damage from a full-powered Screech looks like, so if I'm called in, I better not see that. With a soft smile, Izuku said, No, you don't. What was that? He asked. You said you know what the damage from a full-powered Screech looks like? And no, you don't. I have always held back. I think I'm close to present mic levels. The main difference is that for him it's his entire voice, while I can really only screech. That sounds terrifying, he admitted. No wonder Eraser's always telling me a Screech is the most powerful aspect of your quirk. I promise not to cause any property damage when I defend myself. The two of them had arrived back at the detective's office at the station and entered, to find Eraser sleeping on the couch. Oi, Eraser, this is an office, not a hotel. Wake up, Detective Tsukachi said. With a yawn, the hero got up and looked at Izuku properly for the first time. Oh, I didn't expect you to be so green. You're starting your own rainbow at home, the detective joked. At Izuku's curious glance, he clarified. His husband is yellow, his son is purple, and now you're green. All he needs now is a red kid, an orange one, and a blue one. Nem and Tensei are close enough to be the blue part to count, and Hawks has already inserted himself into the family, so red is covered. Eraser grumbled. And I'm not trying to recreate the rainbow. I'm just trying to help kids. Speaking of, are you ready to head out? Sashi's eager to meet you. He and Toshi are making welcome home dinner for you. After a quick stop at his old place to get some clothes and whatever he would need for school for the last 2 months, Shota and Izuku got to Shota's apartment. Izuku stopped a little bit away from the door and stared at it apprehensively. What's up, kid? Shota asked. What if they don't like me? Izuku whispered. The detectives said they would, but what if they don't? Shota couldn't imagine Hisashi not liking him, but it was an admittedly real fear that Hitoshi might not like him. His son wasn't very social and took a lot to warm up to new people. He wouldn't be upset about a new person in the home. They've had new kids come through since they've adopted Hitoshi, but he never liked them on a personal level. Just be yourself, Shota advised. Sashi would love a rock that came to live with us so long as there were no bugs, so you don't need to worry about him. Hitoshi might not like you at first, though, but that's just who he is. Keep an open mind, and I'm sure he'll warm up sooner or later. Shota ruffled the kid's hair.
Now, let's go in. I'm hungry, and I doubt Tsukachi fed you anything good.
At the kid's nod, Shota opened the door and they entered the apartment.
We're home,
he called out. Hisashi welcomed them with a smile. Welcome home, Sho, and hello, new little listener. I'm Yamada Hisashi. It's great to meet you. Timidly, Izuku said. Hello, I'm Midori Izuku. It's nice to meet you as well, present mic sir. Oh, you know who I am? That's adorable. You're one of my favorite heroes, Izuku admitted with a blush. You're the only person I've ever heard of with a damaging voice quirk. You have a voice quirk, listener? That's great. Hisashi was not holding back on the huge sunshine smile he was giving off, and Shota was squinting at the sheer brightness. Well, not really, but it is an aspect of my quirk. I'm an owl, a Screech owl specifically. Hisashi gasped. Are you Screech? Oh my goodness, Shota! You didn't tell me our new baby was going to be Screech! Oh my gosh, that's so adorable! Hisashi freaking out about Shota bringing home Screech. That's so adorable! And also, this is the 50th anniversary of me making podfics. So, as always, thank you guys for staying with me and listening to these podfics. And I hope you continue to enjoy them. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed chapter 3 of Screech. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!